Today's story, A Chilly November Day, is perfect for upper intermediate and advanced learners to practice listening, pronunciation, and British culture. It's full of everyday English and cozy London vibes. So grab a cuppa and let's begin. It was a typical November morning in London. The sky hung low and grey over the city, like a heavy blanket that refused to lift. A light drizzle fell from the clouds, turning the pavement slick and shiny under the glow of street lamps that hadn't quite switched off yet. The air carried a sharp bite, the kind that made you pull your coat collar up and quicken your pace. Leaves, mostly turned to mush, crunched underfoot on the paths of Hyde Park, where joggers in bright waterproof jackets braved the chill. Bonfire night was just around the corner. Guy Fawkes Night, as locals called it, and you could already smell faint wisps of smoke from early fireworks tests in back gardens. Sarah Thompson stepped out of her flat in Notting Hill, clutching a takeaway coffee from the Costa around the corner. She was 28, a marketing assistant who loved the buzz of the city but hated the endless grey months. Her umbrella was tucked under one arm, more for show than use. The rain here never seemed to fall straight. Another sodding wet day, she muttered to herself, checking her phone for the tube updates. The Central Line was delayed again, something about signal failure near Oxford Circus. Typical. She headed towards Portobello Road Market, where the stalls were starting to deck themselves out for Christmas. Even though it was only early November, the shop owners knew the score. Get the decorations up early to catch the shoppers dodging the gloom. Sarah's favourite was Mr. Patel's newsagent, a tiny corner shop crammed with everything from Cadbury's chocolate bars to the latest Metro newspaper. Today, he was stringing fairy lights along the window, the kind with warm white bulbs that twinkled like stars against the fogged glass. Inside, shelves groaned under boxes of mince pies and advent calendars, while a small plastic tree stood in the corner, half dressed with baubles that looked like they'd seen better days. "Morning, Sarah. Fancy a hot cross bun? Fresh from the bakery down the road?" Mr. Patel called out as she pushed open the door. The bell jingled cheerfully, a sound that always made her smile despite the weather. She shook off the rain from her boots. "Cheers, Ravi! Can't say no to that. How's the Christmas prep going? You're ahead of the game this year." He chuckled, wiping his hands on his apron. "Got to be, love. Last year, I ran out of those chocolate selection boxes by the 20th. Kids these days want their heroes and roses sorted early. And don't get me started on the turkey basters. Everyone panics about them come December." Sarah laughed, paying for her bun and a copy of The Guardian. "Fair enough. See you later. Got to dash before the rain turns biblical." Outside, the market was alive with the usual mix. Tourists snapping photos of the colorful terraced houses, locals haggling over vintage vinyl records, and street performers strumming guitars under makeshift awnings. But woven through it all was that subtle shift towards winter. A flower store overflowed with pots of hardy cyclamen and poinsettias, their red bracts promising festive cheer. Next door, a charity shop had piled jumpers and scarves in the window with signs reading, "Wrap up warm. Proceeds to shelter." Sarah popped in quickly, grabbing a woolly hat for her brother, who was forever forgetting his. Meanwhile, across town in Camden, Tom Hargreaves was nursing a pint in the World's End pub. At 35, he was a freelance graphic designer, the type who worked from coffee shops until his laptop battery gave out. November suited him oddly well. The shorter days meant fewer distractions, more time to sketch ideas for his next client pitch. But today, the cold had seeped into his bones during his cycle from Hackney. He'd locked his bike outside, chains rattling against the railing, and now sat by the window, watching the rain streak down the glass. The pub was quiet mid-morning, just a few regulars nursing their brews. Tom scrolled through his Instagram, liking posts from mates about half-term trips to Centre Parks. His own plans, a quiet Christmas with his mum in Surrey, probably involving too much mulled wine and arguments over the Queen's speech. Wait, no, the King's now. He smirked at the thought. "Oi, Tom, you look like you need a top-up," called Jenny, the barmaid, sliding over with a fresh, crisp packet. She was in her 40s, with tattoos peeking from her sleeves and a no-nonsense bob haircut. "What's the story? Hiding from the weather?" He grinned, pushing his empty glass forward. "Something like that. Just plotting world domination via logos. You lot started on the Christmas menu yet?" Jenny rolled her eyes, pouring a lager. "Don't remind me. Boss wants festive specials by next week. Think turkey sliders and cranberry gin. I'll be knee-deep in tinsel before you know it. But hey, keeps the punters coming when it's pissing it down outside." "Fair play," Tom replied, clinking his glass against hers. "To surviving November, then." As the afternoon wore on, the drizzle thickened into proper rain, drumming against umbrellas like impatient fingers. In the West End, near Covent Garden, young Emily Chen was weaving through the crowds with her best mate, Liam. They were both 22, fresh out of uni, and temping in offices while dreaming bigger. Emily, originally from Manchester but loving London's chaos, had dragged Liam out for a pre-Christmas recce, scouting sales before the madness hit. "Look at this," Emily exclaimed, pointing to the window of Selfridge's. The department store was a riot of early decorations. Towering Christmas trees draped in gold and silver, animatronic elves waving from shelves stacked with Jo Malone candles and Fortnum and Mason hampers. Snowflakes, Fake, of course. Drifted from hidden fans, and a brass band played God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen on the corner, their red coats a splash of colour against the slate sky. Liam shivered, zipping up his parka. It's freezing, Em, and it's barely November. Why are we doing this now? We could be in Pret getting flat whites. Because, she said, linking arms with him, by December it'll be rammed. Plus, check out those baubles. Personalised with London landmarks. Imagine hanging a Big Ben one on your tree. He snorted. My tree's a sad little thing from IKEA. But all right, you've twisted my arm. Race you to the food hall for samples? They dashed across the piazza, dodging puddles and market stalls, selling mulled cider and handmade fudge. The air hummed with chatter. Accents from all over, from Scouse to Scottish, blending with the scent of chestnuts roasting on a nearby cart. Emily grabbed a free mince pie sliver, the pastry flaky and warm. This is what I call living, she said through a mouthful. November might be grim, but it's got its perks. Liam nodded, wiping crumbs from his scarf. True that. Just don't tell my Nan I'm skipping her Boxing Day trifle for this lot. Back in Notting Hill, as evening crept in, Sarah met up with her colleague Mike at a tapas bar off the high street. The place was cosy, with low lights and the hum of Spanish guitar in the background, a brief escape from the British chill. Mike was 32, originally from Leeds, and always the one organising office Secret Santa. Tonight, though, they were just unwinding after a long day. Traffic on the A40 was a nightmare, Mike grumbled, shedding his Barbour jacket. And don't get me started on the heating in the office. Feels like the Arctic. Sarah sipped her sangria. Tell me about it. But hey, at least the markets are looking festive. Saw Patel's shop all lit up. Makes you forget it's only bonfire night soon. He leaned back, cracking open the menu. Yeah, fireworks over the Thames tonight apparently. Fancy it? Could grab some fish and chips after. She hesitated, glancing at the rain-lashed window. Tempting, but I'm knackered. Rain check? Literally, for next weekend? Mike laughed. Deal to soggy Novembers and early Christmases. As the night deepened, London settled into its November rhythm. Fireworks popped sporadically from parks and rooftops, painting the sky in bursts of red and gold. The tube rattled on, ferrying weary commuters home. In flats across the boroughs, kettles boiled for last cups of tea and radios tuned to Radio 2 played soft carols. The city wasn't glamorous in November. No summer sunsets or spring blooms. But it had a quiet grit, a promise that the lights would brighten, the days would shorten, and soon enough, the holly and ivy would take over. Tom cycled home through the drizzle, his mind buzzing with design ideas sparked by the pub chat. Emily and Liam ended up at a cinema in Leicester Square, sharing popcorn during a rom-com that felt worlds away from the wet street. Sarah texted her brother about the hat, already planning their family gathering, and Mr. Patel locked up his shop, fairy lights still glowing, ready for another day of London life. November in the capital wasn't about perfection. It was about the small things. A warm bun on a cold walk, a maid's laugh over pines, the first twinkles of Christmas pulling you through the grey. And in a city that never quite sleeps, that was enough. Cultural notes from the story. Fairy lights and the cosy winter mood. In Britain, fairy lights aren't just for Christmas. They're a way of bringing light and warmth into dark, gloomy months. When November arrives and the skies turn grey, people start hanging these little glowing lights around windows and shops. It's not just decoration, it's comfort. A quiet reminder that even in the cold, there's still warmth and beauty around. Minced pies and early Christmas spirit. In the UK, Christmas begins early, sometimes right after Halloween. Shops fill with mince pies, advent calendars, and fairy lights long before December. It's less about rushing the holiday and more about bringing joy into the cold, grey weeks of November. Pub culture and friendly banter. The pub is the heart of British social life. It's not only about drinks. It's about laughter, conversation, and belonging. People gather to share stories, complain about the weather, and unwind after work. The warmth of a pub on a rainy day is something every Londoner treasures. Guy Fawkes Night, Bonfire Night. Every year on the 5th of November, the UK celebrates Bonfire Night, also known as Guy Fawkes Night. There are fireworks, bonfires, and hot drinks everywhere. It's a mix of history, tradition, and fun. One of those moments that makes British autumn feel truly unique. And that's the end of our story, my lovely learners. Hope you enjoy this cozy slice of British life and practiced your listening, pronunciation, and culture. See you next time. Cheers.